What are we discussing on today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast? The D-backs walk off the Seattle Mariners, but at what cost? And then catching up with D-backs pitching prospect Hayden Durke, talking about his career and his rise through the D-backs farm system.
You are Locked on Diamondbacks, your daily Arizona Diamondbacks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. You're listening to who? The always charismatic host of this podcast, Millard Thomas, multimedia journalist and graphic designer. So please go check out my website, millardthomas24.myportfolio.com. On there, you can see all of my latest work, from my packages to my articles to my photos and my graphic design. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. On today's Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, we're going to be discussing that D-backs walk-off victory against the Seattle Mariners. What did it cost us to win? And then catching up with D-backs pitching prospect Hayden Durke on his season in 2025, his unorthodox draft, and so much more. And so we got a jam-packed pod for you guys as always. But first, want to say thank you for making Locked on Diamondbacks your first listen every day. I would not be able to do this podcast without you, my loyal listeners, sharing, subscribing, reviewing, doing all that so I could do this podcast for you. Thank you. It's free. It's available on all platforms. So please continue to tell your friends. And one of those platforms is YouTube. Please hit subscribe to Locked on Diamondbacks on YouTube. This is an interactive live show. Come in, drop a comment down in the YouTube section. I'll read it as the show goes on. So if you want to know when I go live, please follow me on Twitter at CreatorThomas24 for my personal account, or look up Locked on Diamondbacks both Twitter and Instagram for the podcast handle. But now, let's get into the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast. Back here on the Locked on Diamondbacks podcast, shout out DeMar DeRozan fan who said, "Let's go Naylor," because Naylor delivers the D-backs big victory tonight with a walk-off grand slam in extra innings over the Seattle Mariners. But guys, even with the D-backs big victory, it does not really feel like a win, right? D-backs win this game against the Mariners, but at what cost? Because despite the feel-good vibes of a grand slam, this was a depressing win because we might have lost Justin Martinez to serious injury. It's never fun to speculate on how serious a player's injury can be. Sometimes you just know, right? Sometimes you watch an NBA game, you see a guy cut, non-contact, go down, he grabs his knee or the back of his leg, and you're just like, that guy's done for the next few months, right? He's done for the rest of the season. We see in football, guy makes a cut, go down, non-contact. We just know. Justin Martinez throws a fastball, 97 miles per hour, immediately calls for the trainer, starts walking off the mound before Torey Lovullo gets there. A guy who's already undergone Tommy John surgery once in his career. Justin Martinez potentially could be facing another. Again, we'll wait for the MRIs and the official word, but after seeing Corbin Burnes go down already with a massive injury this year, even AJ Puck was somehow able to avoid Tommy John, but he's been out a few months. The injuries just continue to pile up for the Arizona Diamondbacks, and now they might have lost their best reliever tonight in Justin Martinez. And you look at the injuries, and it has been another season where injuries have been a huge problem for the D-backs. I said last season in the first half, and I think a main reason why the D-backs didn't make the postseason last year was because the first half of the season, they started slow because of guys like Corbin Carroll and Eugenio Suarez not hitting. But the D-backs also dealt with a lot of injuries in the first half last year. Monty, Erod, Gallen, Kelly, pretty much the whole rotation was hurt. Guys coming back in the bullpen as well. And so I think there was a lot of I gave a lot of grace to the D-backs pitching staff in the first half last season because I felt like they just weren't healthy. And the D-backs pitching staff this year has dealt with a lot of injuries, but it's been more performance than anything as to why this pitching staff has struggled. And now we're adding injuries on top of it. Kendall Graveman on the injured list. Justin Martinez back to the injured list. Gabby's hurt. Christian Mena on the injured list. Corbin Burns done for the season. AJ Puck on the 60-day. Monty got hurt before the season. Like, injuries are just piling up for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I wonder if it's fair to question whether this Jamar injury tonight was on the D-backs, because we know we've complained about the D-backs throwing Jamar in non-safe situations and just the sporadic use of him, how that maybe has worn down his arm this year. And then in tonight's game, 4-run lead, bringing in Jamar in a non-safe situation. Now, I will say, Jamar is someone that hadn't pitched since Wednesday, so I understood getting him in the game, lock down the win after losing that series to the Cincinnati Reds. Like, when I saw Jamar coming in the game, I did not feel like, whoa, why are we throwing Jamar out here in this kind of situation? I thought it was justified in the moment, but also, I think it's also fair to ask, should Jamar have come out in that situation? Because you still have this game, because Jeff Brigham did everything possible to lose the D-backs this game. Dominic Hanzone, because I was at the game tonight, Dominic Hanzone had one of the biggest home runs I've ever seen in person at Chase Field. Immediately, as soon as you saw the crack of the bat, you knew that ball was a moonshot to right field. It looked like it hit the concourse. Corbin Carroll just stood there like a statue because he knew off the bat that ball was gone. Like, it was truly one of the hardest hit balls I've ever seen at Chase Field, maybe in person. And of course, it was former D-back Dominic Hanzone, who came into tonight's game without a hit, tried his best to get revenge against the D-backs. Felt like the D-backs were going to lose after Brigham does that. Juan Murillo is like shaky. Mariners have all the momentum. D-backs even have that crazy play in extra innings where Vargas gets thrown out at home plate. They say he's off the base paths. And so it just felt like the D-backs were destined to lose this game. But the hero of the night, Josh Naylor, came through with the walk-off grand slam in the 11th. He also had a huge hit in the 7th inning as well. Josh Naylor was the hero of tonight, along with Merrill Kelly, who was also masterful, because Merrill Kelly is probably the lone bright spot in the rotation right now that Corbin Burns is on the injured list. 6 innings, 4 hits, no earned runs, 7 Ks for Merrill Kelly. D-backs get the win, but it's a win where you lost a lot in this win, right? D-backs win the game, but injuries are starting to pile up, and you can't help but feel like this is starting to turn into the season from hell for Arizona. Zach Gallen recently told reporters that the guys met in the last couple of weeks, and they acknowledge that if they don't start playing better, a lot of this team won't be here post-deadline. And when I hear those comments, it either tells me Zach Gallen and the team are going to rally, they're going to step up for that locker room and try to win, or what it tells me is people are going to start mailing it in, start looking at that record, start seeing how far away that deadline is, and say, let's just mail it in and let's go somewhere else where we have a better chance to compete. It's not what I want to see, but the D-backs, after another injury, the vibes are not looking good for this organization. Some comments. Frog fan said, I think if Jamar is out for the season, it solidifies D-backs as sellers. I don't know if I disagree with you, Frog fan. It definitely feels like that. Major Awesome said, Naylor, he wrote Baylor, but I know he meant Naylor, just saved Lavella's job. Don't disagree. And Corey Oldham said, need to move Perdomo down in the lineup. Maybe, because I was begging for Perdomo to move up to number 3, and then as soon as it happened, he has struggled ever since. And so D-backs need to start getting into a little rhythm, getting into a groove, start piling up some wins, and stop losing guys to injuries, because this season is starting to go sideways if we're not there already. But now let's get into that conversation with Hayden Durke, pitching prospect for the Arizona Diamondbacks, after this quick message. I first want to talk to you guys about Supply House, because get the supplies you need from the site made for the skilled trades. Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 plus top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for the trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. All right, now we are joined by D-backs pitching prospect Hayden Durke, drafted out of the 13th round of 2023 MLB Draft. Hayden, how you doing today, sir?
I'm great, man. Enjoying the off day.
Yeah, we're starting to heat up here in Arizona. What's the weather down like in Texas for you right now?
It's starting to get hot. The first week I got out here, they had a few cool fronts come through, so it wasn't too bad. But this week it should be pretty steamy. So
yeah, are you used to that? Because it looks like you're from Louisiana? I know it gets hot down there in the south in the bayou.
Yeah, Lafayette, Louisiana. It's humid there. That's what makes it so bad. You walk outside, you sweat right away. So
yeah, where are you standing on the dry heat versus the humidity debate going on?
I'd say dry heat is way more manageable to play in for sure.
Yeah, at the end of the day, I'm like, if it's 115, I'm like, oh, it's hot.
So I think we're done with our afternoon games. We're only playing afternoon games from here on out, so we don't have any midday games left for the rest of the year.
Oh, thank God. And hey, when you get called up to the D-backs one day, playing a little roof, keep it nice and AC'd at all times. But I want to talk about your journey a little bit because you had a little bit unorthodox journey getting drafted, didn't pitch collegiately in 2023, pitched a little bit in the Cape Cod League before your draft. I just want to know, what was your mindset entering the draft? Did you have indications from teams that, hey, if you're up when we're on the clock, or were you you really didn't know anything? What was your mindset and expectations entering the draft?
It was kind of in question. Like you mentioned, I didn't get to pitch that year. Got out to the Cape, got in front of a bunch of scouts, and throughout the season got to throw live ABs in front of some scouts, which was nice. But at the end of the day, I didn't have any stats to back myself. So kind of just looked for an opportunity and took it and ran. So just grateful for the opportunity as well.
Yeah, what's the best way to sell yourself in those situations? Are you just trying to put yourself in front of as many scouts as possible, just throwing BP? Or you're making phone calls, texts, just trying to talk to people? What's the best course of action there?
What I did, so they had an email address that my agent at the time had sent me, and he said, anytime you're going to pitch to live hitters, send an email, and it goes out to every scout. Every team gets these emails. So what I'd do is once a week, if I knew I was going to be pitching, I would just send out an email, time, place, date, everything like that, and then guys would be able to show up and watch me pitch. Kind of had to fend for myself, you know what I mean? They couldn't rely on me pitching in the game, so it was usually during the midweeks, Wednesday, Thursday, if we didn't have a game, kind of go out there, simulate the Friday guy that we would be facing that week. Just kind of get after it and show them what I had with the three or four batters that I got to face,
Yeah, that's so cool. So when you finally got drafted and you started started going against these pro hitters, what was that adjustment like for you? It's been a while since you pitched in college. Of course, you're going in Cape Cod, but was it did it kind of feel like you were pitching again for the first time? What were those feelings going into that first pro debut?
Yeah, I felt like I had to learn how to pitch again. I took obviously I got to pitch, but pitching in a game when, the runs matter, the count matters, it was a whole different ball game. So I came in, I think I threw 10 innings when I first got in the pro ball right after I got drafted, and it was rough. I was throwing super hard. The stuff was good, but I couldn't throw strikes. And then kind of knew that coming into the next spring training, there was going to be some growing pains throughout the year. Just kind of battled them, just learn how to pitch again, learn how to get 3 outs in a row, learn how to make up for lost time, really. Just I guess you can say the best is learn how to be a pitcher again at the end of the day. So, I had my fair share of walks, have my things that I can learn from last year and get better at, and I'm trying to hone down on them and get even better at them this year too. So.
And then was there a moment or a game where you know what? I think I'm kind of back right now. I'm feeling confident. Was there any situation for that for you where you know what? Something's clicked for me here going forward?
I felt like last year I showed strides of it, in spurts for sure. And then I couldn't keep it going for a long period of time, and it was just one of those things that playing every year in and a year out, you kind of have those things that you fall back on, your cues and what works for you, your routines and stuff like that. And I kind of had to build them from scratch again. So now it's better. Obviously, coming into spring training, having a year of pro ball under my belt, it's a lot easier to manage. But you still run into bumps here and there. So
Yeah, what's it been like for you? Just like, because you started back in rookie ball in 2023, now you're in Double A in 2025. So, what's the adjustment like going from level to level? Like, do you see a stark contrast in the competition? Like, what is that adjustment for you going from each level?
oh man, I'd say the biggest adjustment is probably the hitters' approach.
Mhm.
They don't chase as much. They still chase. Don't get me wrong. At the end of the day, a good pitch is going to get a good hitter out no matter what level it's at. But I'd say just the quality of the at bat that you are going to be thrown into. You know, they're not going to chase. You have to throw strikes, work ahead in the count. That's like the biggest thing I'd say. The stadiums are a little bit bigger too, more fans and stuff. So that's really the biggest adjustment that I've had to make kind of so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what have the environments been like for you in the stadiums? Because I know once you get to like AAA, like the thing with the Reno Aces, it's like don't look at the stats for the pitchers because it's such like a hitter-friendly ballpark and league. And so, what have you faced in terms of the environments you've pitched in so far in the minor league system?
So our home field out in Amarillo has high elevation. So I
Mhm.
mean, I came from Portland, Oregon, which is our high A, uh, almost sea level, right? So the ball's moving more. The ball doesn't fly as far when the hitter makes contact with it. So in here in Amarillo, the ball flies further when they hit it. The ball moves less when you throw a pitch. So I mean, it's kind of a recipe to set you up to get hit more, give up more hits, more home runs. Um, but you know, a good pitch, like I said earlier, like a good pitch is a good pitch. You know what I mean? You execute the pitch, throw it in the right location. Over time, you know, it'll work itself out. You might get beat here and there, and you got to understand that and realize like, you know, the unicorn ballpark that you're pitching at, that's just part of it. When we go down to Corpus Christi or like Tulsa this past weekend, the ball doesn't go anywhere, and your stuff starts moving more, and it kind of evens itself out throughout the year. So.
Yeah, so do you ever tell scouts or just not scouts, but like, maybe friends or family, it's like, hey, I'm pitching on the road this week. Like, you might want to tune in because the ball's not going to be flying as much as it should be when I'm at home.
No, I don't say too much about it.
Yeah.
I try not to think about it because I know a lot of guys when I first got here, they told me the biggest thing is don't worry about it. You know, like you're going to give up a lot of home runs that shouldn't be home runs at majority of the ballparks you pitch at. Your ball's not going to move as much. You're going to have to make some adjustments. So I try and keep it simple and not worry about it. And then when I do get the opportunity to pitch on the road, I try and take advantage of it. So.
Yeah, because how do you balance that psyche knowing like my stuff is still good? It's just more of
Mhm.
the environment that I'm playing in. Like it's a home run here by knowing 28 other ballparks not going to be a
Mhm.
home run. So how do you balance that psyche of knowing my stuff is still good even though it would just hit over the fence?
It's process oriented. You got to be mentally strong. Like you're gonna get beat a lot here, a lot of places really. You get beat anywhere, but you'll get beat a lot more here on stuff that you wouldn't get beat at normal places. So you gotta shake it off and just keep attacking guys. Get the next one, get the next one. Um, it's nothing crazy. You keep it simple. The more simple you keep it, the better off you'll be. Just don't try too hard or don't do too much, and you'll be fine.
Keep it simple. That always seems to be
Yeah.
a good motto in sports. I want to ask you who your inspiration and model, and if you model your game after anyone, growing up. But before we get into that conversation, Hayden, I first have to throw it to a quick word to our sponsors. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app, it's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place, so you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. When I started using Monarch Money, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. Now I budget smarter and save more. No more late night DoorDash to the crib. I'm saving calories and I'm saving money thanks to Monarch Money. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your first year. All right, back here with D-backs pitching prospect Hayden Durke. And Hayden, I want to ask you, sir, was there like a pitcher growing up that you were like inspired by, or anyone that you like modeled your game after as a pro?
Yeah, so I had the privilege of getting picked up to play travel ball when I was 10 years old. A guy named Ben Sheets, pitched with the Brewers, the Braves, athletics a little bit. So he had a few all-star appearances. So since I was 10 years old, I had him in my corner, playing every weekend growing up until I was 18 years old. So, I mean, he molded me into the pitcher I am today. My pitching coach growing up, Jared Duyon, I still go back to him just to get back to the basics. I'm ever finding myself struggling. But Ben's helped me a lot, just mentally, physically, every way I can ask for. He's helped me there. So.
Yeah, I mean, four-time All-Star, finished 8th in Cy Young voting 1 year, first-round pick. Like, that's a pretty good mentor to have in your back pocket. Off the top of your head, can you give a little insight into like maybe some of the best advice he's ever given you? It doesn't have to be like anything mechanical with pitching, but is there anything, from like a mentor psyche standpoint that he's ever told you that's really helped you as a pitcher?
Yeah, he'd always say you got to be the attacker. You can't go up there and hope. You got to attack guys. So that was his biggest thing. He's more of a mindset guy more than a mechanical. So it's just more about attacking guys and being on the attack all the time. You're not going to have your best stuff all the time, but you got to go win with what you got. So.
Okay. I really like to hear that. Now, do you have a preference as a pitcher when it comes to like starting or relieving?
I wouldn't say so. I've been a starter my whole life, but once I got in the pro ball, I've been mostly a reliever. So I like both, really. Both bring their own kind of certain twists, in a certain way. So bullpen, you get to come out and guns blazing, not really have to worry about pacing yourself and doing a whole lot of scouting reports, such as the starting pitcher would have to do to kind of hit all aspects of the hitters and what their weak points are. So.
Yeah, do you have does your preparation change depending on if you have to go into a game as a starter versus I might be called on as a high leverage reliever or as a closer in this, in a situation? Like, how does your preparation change on that day?
Oh man, I'd say definitely scouting report wise, you definitely have to do some more digging if you're a starter. You got to go out there and you got to be able to give your team 5 to 7 innings on any given night, no matter how you feel. And you only get one opportunity a week. As a reliever, you might have to come in, get one out. You might have to come in and get 4 or 5 outs. So you kind of you're on more of the attack as a reliever than you are as a starter. You know what I mean?
I totally understand that. And so far, I mean, you look at your numbers this season, the strikeout numbers have been insane. I believe I'm looking at it right now. I think in high A this year, you're like 15.9 strikeouts per 9. That's on the entire season so far. So really insane strikeout numbers. Have you done anything differently entering the season, like in terms of your approach to like increase those strikeout rates and increase these strikeout numbers that we're seeing right now?
I feel like I'm just throwing more strikes this year. Working ahead in the count, showing them that I can throw all my off-speed pitches in the strike zone at any given time, which I feel like has increased the chase rate out of the zone. So when I get ahead in the count and execute those 2 strike pitches, they're now starting to chase them and put weak contact on the ball rather than taking them that a lot of the guys would do last year. So.
Yeah, it sounds like it all goes back to just attacking these hitters early.
Yeah, exactly.
Get ahead early in the accounts. Okay, so what's like the biggest lesson that you think you've learned since being drafted? Going from college, now you're in the professional leagues, trying to make it to the major leagues. Like, what's the biggest lesson you've learned so far if you want to make it to that pro level?
I think that you got to understand that this is a game. You're going to fail a lot. You got to be able to bounce back. But at the end of the day, it's a game. You got to have fun. You got to enjoy all the moments because you don't know when this game's going to be over for you. So that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned. Just kind of have fun with the game. Take all the opportunities and things thrown your way and use them to motivate yourself. Use them as learning opportunities. Enjoy your teammates. Have fun with your teammates. So.
Yeah, and you've already had a great season so far. You're named minor league pitcher of the week. I saw a couple weeks ago. So what does like a successful 2025 season for you? What are your goals for the rest of this year?
Just keep attacking, keep doing what I'm doing. Keep helping my team win. enjoy the off days, play a bunch of golf, and just have fun with it. I don't really put too many expectations on it, because at the end of the day, it's a process for me. I got goals that I'd like to hit. And it's kind of behind the scene goals, strike percentages and walk rate goals. So those are the more important goals to me, rather than, getting moved up or getting to a certain level by the end of the year. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think you touched on it a little bit there. I want to end this interview with a little bit of a fun question, but what does an off day look like for you? If you're not at the ballpark, pitching, what are you doing for fun?
Off day, typically I'll wake up at 11 o'clock, sleep in a little bit.
Okay.
Pick up the guitar, play a few songs on it, and then hit the driving range. 18 holes of golf with the boys, and then back home, getting ready for the next day.
Now, you bringing the guitar to the golf course? Are you like with the tunes as the guys are swinging away, or is that?
No. I usually wake up. I'll play it a little bit every morning. Just kind of sit around, keep it refreshed, keep it tuned up real nice. So.
Now, do we have like a TikTok or like a SoundCloud going? Like, can we listen to any of this music? Like, where's it at?
Nah, man, we got a T Gunsy, Tommy Troy. You should ask him about those SoundClouds. He makes some music with some of the guys on the team.
Really? Okay. Do you guys ever make like your own like walk-up music in the clubhouse and then like pitch it to the PA? Is that possible?
I want to say Tommy might have did something like that. He may have. Don't quote me on it, but he may have done something like that.
All right. I'm gonna have to look into that. That would be sick. If you guys started making your own walk-up music, that would be pretty cool for the fans. You might have to drop an EP. I'm sure the D-backs listeners would love that.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
All right, definitely. Hayden, appreciate you hopping on today. Thank you for giving your time today, and please go enjoy the rest of your 2025 season, sir.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you having me.